I was so excited for this game as it was a huge test for United, and even Amorim himself said it before the game. This was the one where United were expected to have more of the ball, and we were waiting to see if United could start to become that more dominant force with the ball after that decent run that they've had. But United didn't really pass that audition. We're still far too easy to attack, and then with the ball, unless we're playing on the transition, we're struggling to really create anything. I'm going to look at the good and the bad for United in the draw up against Forest. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Okay, let's go.
First with the ball, and I want to start off with the good stuff. I did like how United tried to play out a little bit more up against Forest. We kind of knew they weren't going to press us that aggressively, and United did try and play out a little bit more because of that then. We didn't rely solely on those long balls. We did kick it long from goal kicks, but from settled play, we did try and keep the ball on the deck a little bit more. It was far from perfect. The structure definitely still needs work under Amorim, we know that, but I like the intent anyway. You can see from the opening few minutes of the game, Lemens here, where normally in previous games, we would see him just kicking it long. In this instance, instead, we go out wide to Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw plays a little pass outside the Dalot. Normally in these sort of positions, we would get a little bit stuck. But this time around, you can see Cunha, Fernandes providing the options. Cunha is telling Dalot who to pass it to. He plays the ball inside to Fernandes as he's got the more space in there. Then Shaw makes a nice little run as well. You can play the ball out to Luke Shaw. United are out of that press then. Again, in this instance, Lemens, instead of playing that ball long, tries to play the ball on the floor. This time plays it through into Bruno Fernandes as he's dropped short for it. He does get a little bit of luck as his touch takes him in a little bit of a dangerous position, but he's able to play that ball through the Nottingham Forest player's legs, again out wide to Luke Shaw, as United are evading that press then. So United, you're not just kicking it long, you're providing a little bit of a different option. So if teams try and press, we can still play out a little bit. I think it's that variety that's coming into our game that I really want to see. And I always get people asking me, well, why do we need to build up? Well, I know that winning second balls, it is great, and United have been doing it a lot more consistently this season. But when you lose that second ball, it can always cause big trouble. So when you're playing solely for the second balls, you're always going to be taking a little bit of a gamble. And in this instance, you can see Sergio's just lost that header. So the ball is going back towards United's back line. And then as Casemiro does not win that second ball then, Forest can automatically play the ball a little bit further forward in between the lines of United's defence and midfield. And then they can play it out wide. And automatically then they're straight onto United's box. So if you don't win that second ball, then you're causing big trouble for yourselves. We've seen it even up against Liverpool. If you win the second ball, it's great. If you don't, then you can face some very dangerous situations because of that then. It is still too easy for United to be forced wide and to get us to kick it long. Even against Grimsby, they were able to do that against us. But it's a positive for me now that Amorim tried in this game, playing with the ball a little bit more instead of relying solely on those long passes. My biggest gripe with the ball was when United started to come up against Forest when they were in a little bit more of a settled block. We once again just failed that challenge.
I can't do anything else.
As soon as Forest went ahead, they looked comfortable for the majority of that sort of last 40 minutes. United still rely on those direct attacks on the transition far too much. When we're asked to break a team down, we can't do it, even with the quality that we have. Even both Arsenal and City were happy to sit back once they got a lead up against United, as they know where we're most dangerous. They know if you sit back, try and mask United to create some situations up against a settled defence, they know that's where we struggle. The stats show it. United perform better when we have less of the ball, and the games we've won this season, we have scored first. Obviously, this was an anomaly in this one, as we did let Forest back into the game after scoring first. But when Forest went ahead, United really struggled to get back into the game, even up against 18th place in the league. Fans were creaming themselves over the amount of shots United were having this season, but context was always needed. Look at the shots United are taking. This is not a new thing. This has been happening all season. Shots from low XG positions as we play super direct and still have that shoot on sight mentality. Bringing in players like Cunha, adding them on top of Fernandes, was always going to be a step in that direction. We struggled to sustain attacks, and then you're always sort of making the game a little bit more back and forth because of that then. We also struggled to create anything for the striker still. We're far too much still reliant on our wing-backs. It's better attacking-wise with Ahmad in there, but Dalot and Dorgu really struggled to create much in this one. And Seshko did have a bad game, but again, we create very little for him. We haven't fed a striker properly since the Ole days. We don't cross the ball, we don't create any decent shooting opportunities for the striker, and it's one of the main reasons why I thought the money would have been better spent in the summer. Instead of buying a new striker, you could have spent it elsewhere, potentially on a new wing-back. As much as I love Seshko, I just didn't really understand the need for a new striker when United don't really feed the striker they had. Learning how to sustain the attacks, to really break down those low blocks, has got to be a priority for Amorim. Otherwise, the project and the ceiling of it is always going to be limited. And without the ball, we didn't see a lot of the aggressive press like we saw up against Brighton. Whether that was instructional, whether it was just because United were playing away from home again, we don't know. But Amorim keeps talking about how United need to improve away from home, and it clearly didn't happen a lot in this one. We automatically aren't as aggressive away from home, and it's becoming really annoying now. But at least I suppose we didn't see that 5-2-3 shape, and instead we stuck with the situational 4-4-2 or the 5-4-1 block. Both shapes we know are far better for United. It was just in settled defence where United did have the issues. Players switching off as the simple crosses were turned into goals by Forest. You can see for Forest's first goal, United in a pretty decent position. You've got a 6 versus 4 in United's favour in that box, so United definitely have enough numbers to deal with it. You've got 3 centre-backs in there. You'd think simple crosses coming in, you'll be able to deal with them. But think again. As the ball is played in, you can see here, you've got Yoro and De Ligt marking the same guy. You've got Shaw and Fernandes not really marking anyone. And then you've got Ahmad marking 2 people on the back post. Ahmad is always going to be a weak link in United's defence whenever he plays there. I've said he has to play there for the attacking side of things. But defensively, he's always going to be lightweight. You've got to help him. So United, in this sort of situation, do none of that. And then it ends up in Gibbs White getting that header, Forrest being back in the game. We saw similar in a game versus Tottenham last year. United having numbers in there, but we don't organise in the box well enough at all. The second goal against Forest was somehow even worse. United's players all over the shop as sort of player positions seemingly just go out the window. And you can see for this second goal, I don't quite know what happens. United have just lost the ball, but then all of a sudden, you've got Cunha and Fernandes out there marking out wide. You've got Mbeumo inside marking in the middle of his own box. You've got Dalot and Shaw, their positions are swapped. I mean, it's an absolute shambles for United. But still, we've got enough players in there to deal with it. The ball comes in, does take a deflection, loops into United's box. You've got 3 players challenging for the header against 1 man. Somehow don't win it. And then you've got Dalot here in a decent enough position. He's in front of that Forest player. But then it somehow ends up in that Forest player skipping past him, getting an easy shot on United's goal. And I don't like calling players out individually in these videos. Try and stick to the sort of general sort of team view. But I was absolutely fuming with Dalot's display in this one. You can see here, as Nottingham Forest win that ball back, Dalot is in a decent enough position. Just get back in that defensive shape and United have got a pretty decent shape going. Him and Luke Shaw don't do themselves a ton of favours because Luke Shaw is not really paying much attention either. But that ball is a simple ball being played over the top. Dalot, for some reason, is waving his arm around for someone else to go and mark the player that he really obviously should just go and mark. But then as that ball gets played over the top, it's not a world-class, elite, really quick winger that Dalot is trying to get back at. This is Nottingham Forest fullback. And look at Dalot and Shaw in these positions here. You've got Shaw, the guy who's injured the majority of the season. We know he's lost his pace. Then why is he beating Dalot into that box? Dalot, when you watch this back, and obviously I'd love to show you the video, but I get copyright struck. Dalot, in this instance, is absolutely running through treacle. He's got no intention of getting back and actually defending. It's Luke Shaw that actually beats him into that box. United get away with that one, and then Dalot just strolls back around as if nothing's actually happened. Honestly, when I watched it, I was absolutely astounded. And then for that second goal then in the second half, he completely switches off to any danger. Then you add into that he adds next to nothing going forward from the left. It's absolutely baffling how we see him starting in the starting 11 every week. Amorim spoke about Dalot's issues from the left after the game. Well, why do we keep playing him then? Because what's even more baffling is United not addressing our wing-back situation in the summer. Whether it was Amorim or the United board or both, it was absolutely clueless when you know full well we have no suitable wing-backs for this system. Dalot doesn't suit it. Ahmad is always going to be lightweight defensively. Dogu, we know that he's just not really ready yet, and he also doesn't really suit being as a wing-back. Mazraoui is more suited to being as the right centre-back. So United have no real top-class wing-backs for this system. A system that heavily relies on it. But United knew that going into this campaign. So the squad planning is absolutely all over the shop. You spend so much money, but you don't address key positions. I can talk about the midfield as well. But United, honestly, a lot of the suffering that we're having right now, we can look at ourselves because of it.
Are you an idiot sandwich?
Overall, this game was just very frustrating. And what makes it worse is that we've got to wait another full week now to see if any further improvements are made. I hate playing this one game a week stuff. I just want to see how United are doing, and having to wait a week for it is very annoying. We've got another away from home test next week now. I spoke about how United need to improve away from home. Well, what better game to do it up against Spurs? They've been very beatable at home this season, so it's set to be a very, very interesting game. I'll see you after it for all the analysis, guys. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'll catch you in the next one.